We have crossed the border of the friendly Cheviot Hills into bonny Scotland, a land of romance and age-old conflict, a land rich in legend, song and story, of fair women and stalwart heroes, a land of poets and minstrels who, like Sir Walter's magic pen, or like the incomparable poet of the common man, Robert Burns, who among his prolific writings gave the world a song of friendship that will never be surpassed, Auld Lang Syne, and whose genius, like that of Scott, earned lasting recognition in Poets' Corner in Westminster Abbey. Scotland is the home of 1,000 songs, whose haunting melodies have charmed the world. There's hardly a county whose hillside, lake or river remains unsung in poem or ballad. Few who have crossed the border into this land of mystery and enchantment can have failed to come under the magic spell of its banks and braes, its fertile valleys, seen at their best perhaps in early harvest, the serenity of its lonely paths leading away to far horizons. Few can have failed to delight in the solitude of its untrodden ways, of winding sheep tracks, or the peace of silent meadows nestling at the foot of immemorial hills. Here, on the Friends of Scott, fresh breezes give to the depth of solitude a sort of life and vivacity. Here, in lovely Argyllshire, are gentle hills, thick with bracken, rustled to the wind and twinkling in the sun. Here are silver streams singing among the heather, or in more rustles, its mighty wind-swept loch sound of the Highlands in his first expression, a love song to the morn, as a prelude to the far-famed Bonnie Mary of Argyll. What a setting for a world-famous ballad. The gay music of its tumbling waters on their way to mighty Loch Awe, set in its mountain fastness of verdant glen and richly timbered slopes. Argyllshire is in truth a land of romance. Here, as far back as AD 500, was founded one of the earliest Celtic colonies. Robert the Bruce was here in the dark years before Bannockburn. All over the county are castles and battlefields that mark chapters in the annals of Scotland. The real evidence of this is seen in the border country, where innumerable streams or burns run down countless hills, leaping and chattering among the stones. Here in this enchanted land of wooded banks and heathery moorland, a golden thread of beauty and romance links the present with days of long ago, days of forays and encounters, of sorrows and rejoicings, of old feuds and old friendships. Here perhaps the minstrel, who was infirm and old, plucked the strings of his harp and sang his lay of the dauntless courage of the brave for favors of the fair, sometimes gay, sometimes sad, always soul-stirring. But where there was heartbreak, now there is only peace and the ripple of quiet waters around a ruined tower, while here and there the stern facade of some noble monument that has proudly weathered the storm of the passing centuries raises its turrets defiantly to the sky. Such is Drumlandrig Castle, tracing a colourful and romantic history back to the early years of the 14th century. Badly damaged during border raids and razed to the ground about 1675, only to rise again a few years later on the ruins of the old, it remains a dauntless monument to the troublesome times of the past. Its classical entrance front, and in particular its original terrace and stairway, are well worthy of note, while the undercroft, with its Gothic vaulting and cannon gargoyles, displays a definitely Scottish characteristic. The castle is built on a vaulted arcade and surrounds a magnificent courtyard and presents some fine examples of Renaissance detail in its construction, a real tribute to the art of the Scottish master builder, and commands a fine survey of the Highland panorama. But the sturdy Scot was not always disposed to elaborate ornamentation, and sometimes expressed himself in much sterner stuff, with seemingly little pretense save that of defence and security. In harsh contrast to Drumlandrig in the south is Borthwick Castle, Midlothian, whose mighty twin towers rise to dizzy heights in bold defiance of all who may assail them. The Great Hall once sheltered Mary Queen of Scots during the most troublesome time of her tragic career. From here she finally escaped her enemies at dead of night into the rising storm which heralded her final undoing. A century later, Cromwell's cannon threatened the stern fortress, leaving a deep scar on the east side of the tower. But Borthwick Castle still stands triumphant. Again, in striking contrast to the stern outlines of Borthwick Castle, and more characteristic perhaps of this land of romance and legend, are the slender turrets of this fortified tower in Aberdeenshire. But the castles of Scotland defy both custom and tradition. They stand sheltered by the lonely hillside, or perched like an eagle's nest over some rugged promontory, silent, protective, ever vigilant. Relics of the times when every man's hand was raised against his fellow, and when massive thickness of keep and rampart was the best defense against the foe. For a great drama of national independence has been played out down the centuries. In the Central Highlands, the stage was well set for the continuous internal feuds that followed these struggles. Here rise the rugged Grampian Mountains, ridge upon ridge, sheltering the mighty wind-swept lochs. And here in the north of Argyllshire stand the two mighty buttresses of Glencoe, their menacing shadows guarding the ill-fated pass where a whole clan was wiped out in the massacre of Glencoe. Here they listened for the distant sound of the pipes that would bring them succor, the sound that never came. And in the same majestic mountain scenery lies the burial place of the legendary Rob Roy. But when tales of heroic exploits in this land of song and story have faded from the memory and the cover of the book closes over them, the ballads of the minstrel, inspired by its beauty, still remain, with their haunting melodies known and loved throughout the world. Gay or sad, steeped alike in beauty and legend.
And look forward I will go, by heaven's rank where heaven in and wide. If it's taken in your heart, drag us in the step, you'll never smelt the tangle or the eye. Oh, the far golden that put in love my eyes. The blue Highlands are pulling me away, their laughter puts the leaves upon the lane. The blue Highlands from the Skerries say the lood, we had our honey taste upon its name. Sure by summer and Loch and Loch Albert I will go, by heaven's ranks to heaven in their wild. If it's sinking in your inner heart, like a thing with death, you'll never smell the...
And the favourite of them all, perhaps, Loch Lomond, a ballad founded on the age-old Scottish tradition that when a Highland soldier fell dying on the battlefield, his spirit would go back to his beloved homeland, to those he loved. They must take the high road, but he must take the low road.
Bonny bank and by yon bonny way, where the sun shines bright on the moon, where me and my true love wherever want to go, on the bonny, bonny bank of the Coombe. Oh, you take the high road, and I'll take the low road, and I'll be Scotland glory. But me and my true love will never meet again on the bonny, bonny bank of the Coombe.
Land of eternal mountain and gleaming loch, land of windswept hills, banks and braes and purple heather, the end of the journey, bonny Scotland.